Hi there. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to be doing an analysis and valuation on Rémy Cointreau. This is a stock ticker symbol RCO that is in the Paris Stock Exchange. So let's take a look. So what do? They make liquors, cognac, the most popular ones being Remy Martin and Cointreau. And most of their sales are through cognac, but most of their growth is through liquors. So 40% of their cognac sales in this last quarter have returned to growth. That's 60% that haven't, but 85% of their liquors have returned to growth. So that's nice. But in general, this is a company that sells some higher end liquors, but is not doing as great. And one of the reasons is here in China, it's a little tougher. The Chinese market is more difficult due to import duties that are there, and in general, also because the Chinese economy may be showing some signs of weakness or of slowing growth. So here they're kind of saying, hey, this is complex, but we're still trying to grow and bring in more products here. In general, let's look at their sales by division. So 61% comes from cognac, 38% comes from those liquors and spirits, and then 1% comes from partnered brands, basically negligible here. By region, most of their sales are divided between Asia Pacific and the Americas being growing more, while Asia Pacific is shrinking a little bit, and then Europe, Middle East, and Africa, which the share also shrank a little bit as there's less purchasing there. So, in general, the picture isn't looking too good. The first half of 2025-2026, that fiscal year, compared to the 2024-25 fiscal year, is just kind of down everywhere. The margins were compressed and their operating margins were compressed. Their net profit is down. The revenue is down. The net debt to EBITDA is up and close to that 3x level that we usually don't love to see because 3x just means that the company is less flexible in general. That's not lovely. So, yeah, I mean, it's a complicated picture, I would say, for Remy Cointreau because everything here is going downwards. They had a new CEO because they're not doing very hot. And as an investor, it's just a little difficult to digest this. However, if we look at the long-term picture, we can learn a little more. But first, let's look at also their cash flow. So here, they're actually saying that their free cash flow is negative in both of these halves. It's even lower now. They have a little less cash money to work with. Now, here they do the calculations a little differently because it's also based on EBITDA and whatnot, and they're actually subtracting a bunch of more things than you would do in a simple free cash flow, which would be cash from operations minus capital expenditures. However, in general, the picture here is just they have less cash to work with than they did before. So, if we look at the longer term picture here, you see a company that's been struggling over time, maybe has more cyclicality than it should. A liquor company shouldn't really have this much cyclicality. You see revenue growth that was growing all the way to 2018, down in obviously 2020 for obvious reasons, then had stratospheric growth 2022, 23 with bonanza years, and then that sort of cratered back down. Now you are under 1 billion euros of revenue, which hasn't happened in a long, long time. The margins also, they've improved over the long term, but now they're going down compared to 2023 and 24. Same with the operating margins here. And the thing is, you have to just keep a very good look when something is going down in terms of sales or profits, that the margins don't compress too. That'll make your life a lot harder when it comes to justifying a turnaround. So, yeah, it's a complicated picture here, but it does give an opportunity of a possible turnaround. Their outlook here is that they expect organic sales growth to reach between stable and low single digits. So they're coming back to grow in the 2025 to 2026 fiscal year. And they do say there's going to be a decline in profits. So sales is going to be up, profits is going to be down between low double digits and mid teens. That's no joke, honestly. And in general, they're saying that there's such a volatile environment here that's going to happen. That is true. I mean, with tariffs, with maybe the European and Chinese economy performing less good than anticipated, yeah, I do think alcohol in general is very susceptible to these kinds of things. So it makes sense. I'm going to do a discounted cash flow model. It's going to be very simple here. I'm saying about 1.5% of the revenues get turned to free cash flow. This is about in line with historical estimates. If you just do the equation for simple free cash flow being just their cash from operations minus capital expenditures and minus their stock-based compensation. I am going to have an 11% required rate of return and a 5% perpetual growth rate. This 5% being if they recover and have stratospheric growth again, then I want to basically be able to account for that. Okay. Now, with that said, the value here that I'm getting is about 420 million euros. And if we divide that by the total number of shares out, you would get about 8 euros, 8.05 euros per share. But if you subtract the net debt, you would get a negative number here, negative 5 euros with net debt included. That's not great. But in general, this calculation and whether you pay attention to it depends on the structure of the debt, how far along it is, and how long it'll take to pay off. So, if they have this debt that is to be paid in many, many decades from now at a relatively low interest rate, you can basically ignore this and go for this. But this is just showing that if you don't do that great for many years, then the debt gets worrying. What used to be a pile of debt that was negligible relative to what you earned before now isn't that negligible anymore, and with the free cash flow that I'm estimating here, paying down this amount of debt, if I have 15 million or 23 million available in euros every year, paying off this debt of almost 700 million is not going to be very easy, you know? So, yeah, the picture's kind of tough here. And if you compare my valuation with where the stock price is, I mean, right now it's 36.82 euros. It has a dividend of 4.07%, which is kind of nice. A P ratio of 20, which is still very high. So, yeah, I'm not too sure about this one. And I also just checked the EV to EBITDA ratio and compared it to other competitors here. It seems like the industry median 6.3 times, trailing 10.6 times current, which compared to their forward EV to EBITDA, it's not that far off. So it doesn't really imply undervaluation by any means, even though the stock is down that much. So with two valuation methods here, let's just summarize. The first thing is that you'll need quite the impressive return to growth to convince me it's a good idea at this moment. The upside is if certain things such as tariffs ease and then they do well with their restructuring, the new CEO really delivers, and they're able to just sort of focus on what creates value there, maybe expand their spirits section, etc. The potential for upside is pretty great. However, other liquor companies may be a better deal because they have staler growth, they may have an equally strong global footprint, and they may just have a better valuation as well. I would look at things like Diageo, for example, which may be much more interesting, or even LVMH if you want exposure to other things but still want a little bit of liquor exposure. So I think Remy Cointreau can fall further, as unlikely as it seems, being down like 70% in the last 5 years. So, yeah, the lesson here is just that cheap is not equal to undervalued. I think Remy Cointreau is interesting if you see signs of a turnaround or if you have a lot of confidence in their execution there. But I just don't know about the valuation, even at this level. And because that net debt to EBITDA is growing and getting to a more worrying level, you would need quite the impressive turnaround to convince me that it's not necessarily an issue. I don't think it's worth negative euros, of course, because their brands are worth something, the name is worth something. But I do think it's not really that appetizing of a choice, even if it looks cheap on paper. Now, I hope you learned something from this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. It keeps telling me to make more videos like this. And if you have any requests for stocks you want me to take a look at, don't forget to comment down below. I love doing viewer requests. With that said, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.